Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to what is probably one of the funnest, most frivolous sort of videos I have ever done on my channel. In the midst of talk about good makeup, bad makeup, makeup in between, we have occasionally discussed packaging. I believe once before I've talked about good or pretty packaging where the product inside was kind of inferior to the presentation. So today we are just going to spend an entire video just rejoicing, going over, focusing on good old aesthetics. Because today we're going to be talking about some of my personal favorite packaging. I have since learned that formulas make up a better product than packaging does, but that does not mean I am not immune to the occasional pull, the occasional tug, the occasional aesthetic living person inside of me that sees really good packaging and a streamlined aesthetic, and that's all I need to dump my money into this thing. Obviously, packaging is a very perspective, personal based thing. I know a lot of people who are like, I don't like no bulky packaging, I don't like whatever, give it to me streamlined and all that jazz, which I can completely understand and respect. But as for someone who sort of lives for the aesthetic, there's just some packaging that stands out, and its existence alone makes me happy. So let's just jump right into talking about some of what, in my personal opinion, allegedly, is some of my favorite and the best packaging. Obviously, we gotta discuss what was in the thumbnail, but the Kat Von D Saint and Sinner palette. Now, Kat Von D, at this time, she had not reached her fall yet. This was sort of the ascension right before the roller coaster dipped on into a downward spiral. But in my opinion, the theme, the packaging, the aesthetic, the overall whatever of this release was sort of her magnum opus. This was what I had been waiting for Kat Von D ever since I got into the brand. And as someone who appreciates and loves a very gothic, a very historical, a very sort of witchy aesthetic, this called to me on so many levels. The box that this came in is one of the only makeup boxes that I still have, because at some point in time I'ma have that somehow presentation one way or another, because it's just so pretty. And as impractical as it is with these two mirrors in here, it opening up like cathedral doors, looking like stained glass all up in here. This is probably, in my opinion, the best packaging that Kat Von D came out with. I mean, the attention to detail, the quality, everything about this just gets that level, that area of aesthetic gets my heart pumping. Everything about this just makes me all kinds of happy inside. It is just absolutely gorgeous. Then a much newer incarnation into my collection, also a very different aesthetic. This is the Lunar Beauty Moon Prism Blush Palette. Now, when I pulled this shiz, I mean, the carton packaging was beautiful too, but when I pulled this out of the packaging, and I just like, that does not do it justice as to what seeing it in person is. Each of these moon bits here, they're raised, they've got this metallic, and then the little spray here is all kinds of sparkly and iridescent. I mean, Lunar Beauty has got some of the best, most unique and innovative packaging I've seen on the market. This is just the gradient, the choice of colors, the attention to detail, and just the overall beauty and construction of this is absolutely stunning. Like, words cannot describe how beautiful it is seeing this shiz in person. Like, it's just so pretty, and it's all kinds of 3D and ethereal and gorgeous. I mean, this blush palette here, this packaging inspires me to make me want to transform myself into a magical Sailor Scout. Next up, I've actually got two products from one brand that I typically don't purchase from, but if their overall aesthetic looked like these products, which are collaborations, if their aesthetic looked like the way they did these, I would own everything based on the beauty and the craftsmanship of the packaging alone. And that is Smashbox. This here is the Smashbox plus Vlada Petal Metal Highlighter. I mean, when this came out, people lost their minds, and rightfully so. This is some of the most beautiful componentry I have seen. I mean, the rose gold, and it's all kinds of 3D. It is just disgustingly aesthetically pleasing. And even on the inside, you open this shiz up, and even the highlighter itself is imprinted with all that kinds of fancy embossment. I mean, you can't get much better or more streamlined than this gorgeousness and this gorgeousness in one beautiful compact. This would probably be a product that I would be guilty of never decluttering. Like, even if the product were to go off or it were to break, I would keep this and somehow figure out a way to display it, because it is just absolutely gorgeous. One of the first things that popped into my mind when I thought about doing this video. And sort of in the same vein, also from Smashbox, arguably some of the best packaging. This is the Smashbox plus the Hood Witch crystallized highlighter. I mean, it's shimmy shiny. When this came out, I don't know if I anti-hauled it, but it was one of those things where I'd come to peace with the fact where I was like, I'm gonna buy this shiz even if the highlighter is absolute total crap, because this, just to have this, would be good enough for me. I mean, this is everything I am vibing with right now, and just like the first one, you open it up and that theme goes into it. I mean, these Smashbox, for all their kind of boring and streamlined and whatever aesthetic, when they do collaborations like these, like, they take the packaging to a next level. Like, this is packaging beyond Too Faced, beyond Urban Decay, beyond Jeffree Star, beyond Kat Von D. This is the epitome of aesthetically pleasing packaging. Then if we're talking aesthetically pleasing packaging, I've got to talk about the Natasha Denona Love Glow for just, like, you know, this reason. I mean, y'all, it's got stuff inside of it that moves when you move it. I mean, if that's not the coolest thing ever. Like, I'm not entirely sure what I was expecting when I ordered this, but I pulled it out and I was like, oh, look at that. It's like those sticks we had back in the 90s that our parents would give us to keep us occupied just watching that shiz go up and down. And this proved to kind of have the same effect, except I'm an adult and I'm just like, wow. It's just really nifty and kind of like a type of packaging that I don't think we've seen, like, from a company. And especially if you're thinking about Natasha Denona, which isn't really a brand that I feel kind of prides itself on overly aesthetic or overly frivolous packaging. What I like about this is it's streamlined, and yet it's still all kinds of fun. Obviously the products inside are absolutely beautiful, but this is just, it's just a lot of fun, and it's just really pretty and nifty and cool, and I look at it in my collection and it makes me happy inside for stupid reasons. Now, if we're talking about a company that has aesthetically pleasing packaging, or a company that has produced aesthetically pleasing packaging, a company, you might say, that prides itself and focuses more on aesthetically pleasing packaging than the actual makeup, Too Faced obviously had to be on this list, and we are going to be talking about the, I don't even know what these are called. This is the first one. It was released with the chocolate gold. This is like the diamond fire or some kind of shiz like that. And then this one is the fancy pink diamond. And then we got the canary diamond. Now, I think y'all can see up there, I've actually got two of the presentation. It comes in a presentation box. We're not talking about like, oh, it comes in like a little cardboard, whatever that. No, it's a presentation box. And then you pull that shiz out, and this is a thing of legitness. It's a ring box. It is a absolutely beautiful, will you marry me type situation. Would I marry this highlighter? Not so much. I might have a fling or something with it, but I probably wouldn't, I wouldn't be committed to matrimony with this thing. But the packaging, all the little details, like there are certain things. Too Faced has a bunch of different aesthetics, a bunch of different themes. You got peach, you got tutti frutti, you got chocolate. But I feel like these are kind of one of the like epitome. This is what I would expect from Too Faced packaging. Like if they were to like redo their brand and focus on this sort of, I don't want to say vintage, but on this like princessy, pretty luxury, just so cute. I could get down with them just sort of streamlining their whole collection in this sort of aesthetic, because they're just pretty to look at. And y'all know your girl likes acquiring things that are just pretty to look at. And that's honestly, I probably should put these two, at least this one, in makeup that I shouldn't have bought. This is the canary one right here because, oh lordy, was this not made for your girl's complexion? This one I can get away with when I'm a little bit deeper and as a blush topper, but I just wanted to have the whole family, and they have since come out with an even deeper one that, props to me, I didn't buy. But I feel like this is kind of like with the Kat Von D Saint Sinner. This is like the magnum opus, the ultimate final form of aesthetically pleasing Too Faced packaging. Then we might as well round it out with more aesthetically pleasing Too Faced packaging, but the Love Flush blushes. These have been discontinued as of filming this. There are 3 shades available on the Too Faced site, but these beautiful, adorable, candy color coated sweet tarts hearts blushes. They took this cute little heart thing and ran with it. They did these, saturation. They did these, they did the love lights, they did those in the hearts thing. There's just something nostalgic and cute and sweet without being like, oh, it's for a 5-year-old. Like, this packaging lends itself to being sweet and adorable without being like overly childish. It's a love heart, but it's like got a little bit more sophistication, a little bit more whatever. You open it up and part of why you pay that premium is because you got to pay for them to be able to do this cute little embossing up on here, because that ain't cheap. I still believe these are one of the best things Too Faced ever put on the marketing. Packaging aside, I absolutely love the blushes, and they think they were complete morons for, I believe, discontinuing them, or at least discontinuing all but 3 of the shades as of right now, because these are they speak to my little kawaii loving heart. When I don't look like this is one of the aesthetics I definitely gravitate towards. Then I would be negligent in not including probably one of the first original aesthetically inspiring makeup whatevers for me, and that is the whole idea of the Lime Crime Venus presentation. This here, the painting that they use is the Birth of Venus by Botticelli. Your girl is an art history nerd and I absolutely love this painting and I absolutely love Botticelli. And so when they take this beautiful classic painting, and then as you've seen with all the different incarnations, the XL2 with the green hair and the whatever, I was living for that aesthetic. I was living for the eyeshadows on the inside, but the overall aesthetic just presented in just, If y'all have seen some of my clothing hauls that have had like some like classical painting whatevers that are then taken and zhuzhed up a little bit, I love that juxtaposition tradition of the classic painting that's sort of a little irreverent, a little modern, a little bit, 21st century twist. And so for them to just take this beautiful and iconic painting and then just give it a new and different life and expression varying on their different Venus palettes, just it is something that like spoke to me artistically and just on so many different levels. And to this day, I just love every time they come out with a new whatever and they color her hair differently and they do something whatever. I'm like, yeah. In all honesty, that's one of the reasons I was so sad about the XL2 not working well for me, because that packaging, the grungy colors and the green and the one of my favorites, but just the whole expansion on the concept of Venus is very appealing to me on a myriad of different levels. Then it would be exceptionally irresponsible of me not to include probably what is one of the peak levels of packaging, and that would have to be the Besame Sleeping Beauty collection. I mean, when I bought this shiz, I was like, okay, all right, what? I'm paying for the packaging. I'm paying for the glorious Disney princess presentation, which you are, don't get me wrong, but you are also paying for the fantuckingfastic formulas inside of here. But I mean, if I had to pick, if we were dealing with like Olympic level packaging, this would be winning the gold medal, just because the detailing and the attention to all the whatevers. I mean, this is again one of those things that long after the eyeshadow has been panned, has expired, has gone mad, this will be somewhere in my house in a shadow box, because it is just beyond gorgeous and stunning. I mean, it's got a mirror all up inside. It goes through the color theory. I mean, money was spent to make this thing, which is good because money was spent to buy this thing, but it is money that I 110% do not regret spending. Just aesthetic perfection. And of course, riding right on with that is the blush palette, which I do keep in its packaging because it has this beautiful, it's like 3D. I don't know if you can really tell, but where she is right here is kind of on this raised piece of plastic, and then the image underneath is underneath that. So it's got this really pretty like pop out effect, like a paper cutting it's like shadowed out. You know what? Good thing I didn't go to college for design, because I would have failed. But it's like they took a cutout and then like raised it above this thing here. It's just so pretty. And like the eyeshadow palette. See, and then it's got, oh hello, but it's got like the stuff on the mirror. I mean, no expense was spared when it came to all the details and the beautiful whatevers of completing this collection. Like, I'd never tried Besame before, so I wasn't sure what I was gonna expect, but packaging, aesthetic, formulation, everything completely blew me away. I need them to come out with more. I mean, if they were to do a beauty, and I would lose my head would explode. Just so beautiful, so Olympic gold medal level packaging. You get to pass go, you get to collect 200, you are the best of the best. Obviously, I've got to talk about at least one Jeffree Star, although while I really like his packaging, not all of it is like I love the blood sugar and whatever, and it's really aesthetic and appealing, but it's not something like the Besame or the Lime Crime or the Smashbox. I don't look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, F me up. So my favorite out of all of them is definitely Blue Blood. When he revealed this componentry, I was just like, yes, Why, thank you, presentation, jewelry, coffin, whatever box. I mean, I was down for this shiz. We all know that he pays a lot of attention to his componentry. But this, out of all of them, I honestly wish he would have I like the bloodlust, whatever, but I wish he kind of would have gone on the same vein as this and just done it in purple. Obviously, on the inside, you've got all the cute little impressions that are unique to this palette. The mirror with all the nice things going on up in here. You know, it's just one of those things that, you know, like I said, this whole video is about aesthetics, and this is something that is just aesthetically pleasing. It's streamlined, it's beautiful, it's well thought out, it is pleasing to the eyeballs. Or at least to my eyeballs. I know that presentation and packaging is very subjective. Another Lunar Beauty will have to be the Moon Prism Powder Highlighter. I mean, I wish, you've heard me say it once, you'll hear me say it 1,000 times. I wish Lunar Beauty got more notoriety, more publicity. I wish a lot more people talked about Lunar Beauty than they do. Because when it comes to unique and aesthetically pleasing packaging, as well as bomb diggity formulas, his brand nails it every blinking time. And this is definitely no exception. I wish I still had I'll see if I can insert a picture of like the unicarton, because even that was an aesthetic experience. It took me forever to come to peace with myself to actually get rid of those, because they were just so pretty and I wanted to display them, and just the multifaceted beautifulness of this. I mean, one of the most unique and standout highlighter or just straight up compacts ever. If he takes that blush formula that's in that blush palette and puts it in a compact similar to this, Jesus, take the wheel. I will have them all. Then if we're on Lunar Beauty, we might as well end on a obvious note with the Moonspell palette. This, kind of like the Kat Von D. I mean, the Kat Von D and this one are neck and neck for like my favorite sophisticated, witchy, gothic inspired packaging. Excuse me, burp squad. I mean, you have the fact that it looks like a book. It comes in a slipcase, like a special limited edition volume of your favorite spooky novel. Black with the gold typography, all the beautifulness, and then in the back, I mean, kind of like, you know, like with Jeffree Star and like whatever, there seems to be so much, you know, not an expense spared when it comes to putting out the packaging on this shiz. Obviously the colors and sides are all kinds of bomb diggity. You got a big old mirror. Just so beautiful, expertly thought out. It flows, it's unique. It's something that we don't see from either mainstream brands like Too Faced or ABH or even Urban Decay, you know, even from like indie brands. It's something that's so new. And that's what I love about Lunar Beauty, is they're able to come up with these like really beautiful, fun and unique aesthetic themes and really run with them to end with a very polished, beautiful and well thought out product. I mean, I would give Lunar Beauty's packaging on basically every single release they've had, even if it hasn't been my personal aesthetic, I would give it a 9.5 to 10 out of 10. Because whether it's my aesthetic or not, well, this one is. I'm talking more like the Greek goddess and whatever. You know, that aside, just the execution and presentation on its own merits a very high ranking. But that was me talking about all kinds of fancy packaging. I could probably do this another time. Definitely let me know down below if you'd like to see that sort of thing. Also, let me know down below if you'd like to see my least favorite packaging. I think I could do that for y'all. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts about this packaging that I talked about, as well as kind of like your preferences with packaging. Do you like ostentatious and gaudy and ornate? Or are you someone who's more of like a NARS, sleek, streamlined, although NARS, when it comes to holiday and whatever, they do some kind of crazy stuff too. Let me know what kind of packaging person you are down below. And also let me know a product that like has your favorite packaging. Like, what is an item in your collection that you look at and you're like, mwah, yes, you are mama's favorite. Like, which one is the most attractive child in your little collection? But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. And as always, keep it real. Mwah.